Hey everybody, it's Mac Guy Reports, and I just want to talk to you about something that seems to be a growing argument between Mac users and PCs, and it's kind of silly, but anyway, I just want to give my 2 cents on it, and that's the cost of what it costs to buy a Mac, or versus what it costs for PC. First off, I want to say that it's kind of obvious, or maybe not so obvious, but depend on people like to focus a lot on hardware, and I'd say that it really depends on what hardware you're comparing. Whether even in the PC world, you can compare from different manufacturers, and you'll see the prices vary. If you look at Alienware, of course, that being one of the more expensive PC manufacturers, you'll notice that those guys definitely have some pricey machines. And you compare some of those to Apple, and you'll notice that Apple is not nearly as expensive as it could be. But that being said, let's go away from that for a second. Let's talk about something that's not typically talked about, because it's really, you're buying more than just hardware. So one of the big things that you don't get with any other PC manufacturer that I can think of is the customer support from Apple. Just recently, it was rated that Apple to be the number one, out of over 4,000 products reviewed, including computer manufacturers and so forth. Apple was actually rated to have the highest customer support out of this survey, which is great. Consequently, or coincidentally, I should say, Dell had the lowest, in customer support on that same survey. And interesting enough, I don't know if you ever called Dell for any type of support. I've also called Apple. Two totally different experiences. One experience was, with Dell, was I ended up speaking to someone that didn't speak English, and I'll tell you, that's probably one of the most annoying things that you can go through. So my technique with that is, if I get someone that speaks, an Indian person or whatever that I can barely understand, I just hang up and I'll dial again until I get someone that speaks English, or I ask for someone that speaks English. Right away. Anyway, past that. The Apple Store, think about that. That's huge. Being able to walk in with your product. In my case, I have a MacBook Pro, the aluminum body. That's what I'm recording this on, and I bought it about 3 months ago, and I've had to go to them for support. For something silly, that I did just not understanding, coming from PC to Apple or Mac. There's some things that I didn't understand, ended up screwing up. I took it to them, and I'll tell you that it was fixed in a matter of minutes, which was great. That was a huge experience. I have an iPhone. That's the whole reason why I ended up buying a Mac. And I'll tell you that experience blew my mind. I had a problem with my iPhone. I took it into them. They're like, hey, they diagnosed it, said no problem. I see the problem, and they switched out my phone. That was huge. So that support, that definitely has to. And that's just the basic support within there. I didn't pay anything extra. They do have Apple Care, which I don't have. But this is just their basic support. So that was huge for me. But looking at the design itself, I can tell you that they have a no compromise design. Looking at the aluminum body, it's something that looks great. I mean, it gets tons and tons of looks. I mean, I travel a lot through my type of business. And I'll tell you what, I'm on an airplane and taking for granted, not thinking much about it. The stewardess themselves, they see a lot of laptops. If you go on an airplane, you'll see that everybody, has some type of electronic device. I'm sitting there with my headphones on in first class, and the stewardess comes and taps me on the shoulder. She's like, what kind of laptop is that? It's really nice, and I told her it was an Apple or Mac, and she was like, wow, it's really nice. And one of the things that probably caught her eye is illuminated keyboard. So that's something in itself for me. Pride and prestige, another reason why, me personally, why I might buy something and why I do buy things. The software, really talking about software, I can't begin to talk about the improvements over Windows, but iLife is probably, for most people, would be an experience that they would like to have, or even they don't even know that they would like, this type of the creativity package. That's basically what it is. Between iWeb, being able to create your own websites, really easily, that's really huge. And then we go with not only iWeb, you got iMovie. That's great. iDVD. I haven't used that yet. Yeah, I've done iMovie obviously, and then iPhoto. That's great. I do photography as a hobby. Huge. Yeah, although it's not the end all, it definitely helps to make some simple improvements to photos and things like that, touch up and stuff like that. But it's not a true editing software. Not nearly as detailed as GarageBand is for music. GarageBand, I'll tell you, that is something that I didn't have any prior experience with before, and I'm telling you, I've done things with GarageBand that I didn't think that I would ever have any interest in, but because it's available to me and free and fully functional, I've taken advantage of it. Within software, some other things that I've found is just networking with my Mac has been outstanding. One of the weird things is I have Vista on one of my computers. By the way, I have 4 PCs. Vista, one of my machines, I can't, and the rest of them run XP. I can't network it to the other 3 machines. However, I connect my Mac, I can connect to the Vista machine, and I can also connect to the other 3 XP machines. So that's huge. But other thing is the basic hardware. Basic hardware in itself, the basic hardware in itself on any of the Apple machines, they won't make a crap machine and put the name on it. That's just the fact. It's something that people can't seem to get past when it comes down to thinking about, oh, it's just money, this, that, and the other. Really, they take pride in what they do. They're on the arrogant side of things, which I don't mind. That being said, if you bought an Apple, you bought a good machine, and period. You can buy $300 laptops from various places, and I'll tell you right away, they're most likely junk crap compared to what you could have, depending on what you're wanting to use it for. But in my opinion, it's not something that I'm interested in. I do a lot of gaming, and because of that, yes, I do have Windows running on my Mac. But that being said, let's think about this real quick. My Mac has every capability of a PC. Why? Because it is a PC when I want it to be. I run it strictly for gaming. I just took my MacBook Pro. I just took it to a LAN party, and I'll tell you, people are like, hey, what are you doing with that? That's everyone's coming to these giant towers and so forth, and I'm here with my MacBook Pro and the keyboard and mouse, and I'll tell you that my frames per second, we benchmarked on games like Crysis. We did a lot of Unreal Tournament, Unreal Tournament 3, I think it's the last one, or whatever the latest one is, and I'm right there. My frame rates are just as high as some of the other guys that are even running dual video cards, so that was kind of interesting. But bottom line is, my Mac is a PC, and therefore everything that I have in a PC, I got that in my Mac. Plus, I have the Mac OS, which really is where I spend most of my time doing anything with the internet or anything like that, or just using the computer in itself. So when it comes to price, do I think that Macs are overpriced? No, I think that they're actually underpriced. However, I don't mind not paying more for it. I'm happy with what I paid. I think I ended up paying $2,500 for this machine, and I don't regret it at all. It was the most expensive computer that I've ever owned, and I can tell you that I've owned many over the years, but it's by far the best one that I've owned as well. So this is Mac Guy Reports, just giving you my opinion. So if you like what you see here, go ahead and subscribe, and I'm looking to make a lot more videos here soon, just to give you guys some of the features of what's available on the Mac, and just answering some of the questions that I've come to learn the answers to over my 3-month time with Apple. Talk to you soon.